go ahead and get right into cornerbacks and safeties. Very impressive cornerback class at the underclassmen at cornerback, starting with Jeffrey Okuda of Ohio State. Cornerback 1, and that's not changing. This guy's got the length, athleticism, former 5-star. I mean, this guy's got all the traits you want. The production this year, I don't see him, and we talked about this before, going past Matt Patricia and the Detroit Lions at number 3. I don't see him getting past that.
I could see him getting past that.
Okay.
Just based on the Lions draft history.
Why you gotta say that? Okay, hear me out. I don't see. I wish he wouldn't get past Lions. They'd probably go like Derek Brown or Javon Kinlaw or something at the top there.
See, that's the thing that worries me about the Lions pick is because they were just so bad at rushing the passer last year. They might just be like, well, we got to address rushing the passer. And yes, top 5, you can probably get a good player. Derek Brown would probably be an upgrade from what they have there defensively. But I don't think after Chase Young, I don't think they're special like Jeffrey Okuda is special at the cornerback position.
Yep.
And so they were the least blitz heaviest team in the NFL this past year, the Lions. They just blitz more, draft Jeffrey Okuda and send 5 every snap. Like, I don't care. If you have him and Darius Slay, your pass defense is going to be a lot better than it was this past year. End of story.
If Okuda slips past Detroit Lions because of their draft history and they'd rather attack defensive line, and then Gettleman because he doesn't want to double dip at cornerback, lets that go, and he goes another direction. And then Miami's sitting there. Obviously, they want Tua Tagovailoa. He's at 5. You're thinking about Jeffrey Okuda falling to 6, 7. That's like a steal. He could get to Jacksonville at 7, or I think they're at 9. Like, that's just absurd.
That's how,
he should not fall.
That's kind of how it was the Marshawn Lattimore year, how it just shook out to where people should have been drafting cornerbacks. Like the Jaguars, I'm sure would in a heartbeat love to have Marshawn Lattimore right now, but they took, what was it? Was that the Fournette year? They drafted Fournette. Like, it just shook out to where no one was drafting cornerback, and you see one of the top 10 cornerbacks in the NFL right now who had very few question marks all of a sudden slips outside the top 10 for some insane reason. And I think a lot of those teams that passed on him would like to have a do-over. That's just that's like how we feel about the cornerback position. Is it's one of those positions that a lot of teams wish they could have do-overs. Marshawn Lattimore, Tre'Davious White go top 5 now in any sort of redraft.
How can you not get on board with the Ohio State cornerbacks too? These guys with so much experience in man coverage. Marshawn Lattimore, 1, obvious. Even Garyon Conley, though, since his move to Houston, he ranks inside the top 5 in forced incompletion percentage because he's playing way more man coverage in Houston and thriving at that. He got beat a couple times in the playoff game, but still he's constantly forcing tight window targets in man coverage. Jeffrey Okuda, man, if they let him slip outside the top 5, it would be a disappointment because, this guy's a very, very good player. Let's go to C.J. Henderson of Florida, 6'1", 196 pound, very thin, looks thin on the football field, slight of frame, but he's an athlete. He's definitely fast, and I think he's a guy that at the next level, maybe scheme dependent a bit on where he has success, but he's flashed a handful of traits that you can kind of fall in love with.
Yeah, I think he has to go to a man-heavy scheme. That is what he does best, just sticking with opposing wide receivers. He's about as good as he gets in his class. Now, at the catch point, he's gotten beaten a handful of times, has had some lackadaisical play, and I feel like personality-wise, we've brought that up, that he just doesn't seem like a number 1 cornerback personality. Like, he's not a trash talker, not brash at all, very timid almost in his play style, not an in-your-face. Even when he's in press coverage, he's not knocking guys. He's not getting that jam in. He's kind of just mirroring you at the line of scrimmage. And so he has all the athletic tools you could want at the position, but there's just something a little missing. Not quite sure what it is, but I don't know. I think he'll still put it together. Like, I'd still bet on you just don't see guys with his sort of movement skills at the cornerback position every day. And when you do, you should probably draft him in the first round. That's how I feel about Henderson.
Yeah, when I talked to him, I think it was before the season, he, like you said, the personality is not necessarily, I wouldn't even call it a red flag. It's something where he's just he's a quieter dude, way more focused on his play and kind of doing his own thing. He said he doesn't talk trash. I asked him what his goals for this year. He said, win a national championship. I was like, what about you specifically? He said, win a national championship. He's one of those, not those cornerbacks like a Jaylen Ramsey, like a Marshawn Lattimore, Richard Sherman, where they're like, they play the mental game. A big part of their game is the mental game where they're talking trash and making fun of how you look. Kind of what you do with me a little bit. But it's fine, but it gets in my head, and it's same for receivers in the NFL. Underclassmen, Utah, Jalen Johnson, 5'10", 194 pounds. I love his tape. Very instinctive player. I think he's got good athleticism as well. He's, I think, even better than some of the seniors from Utah's defense that are going to the Senior 100%. Bowl. Jalen Johnson is a guy that back into the first, top of the second round, like I'm jumping at the opportunity to grab him.
Yeah, I think he was the best cornerback on this Utah team. Best defender, best prospect on this Utah team this past season, even though like they do have a ton of senior talent. He, to me, was the difference maker on that roster. Only 2 picks, but I feel like his sort of I don't want to say his ceiling in the NFL is higher, but I feel like he'll be a guy who will pick off a lot of passes in the NFL. Like that he will be his instinctive cornerback.
Kind of what you said about Paulson Adebo.
Yes, he far more so than like a CJ Henderson. He just has much better instincts and feel for the position, breaking up passes, using his leverage down the football field, and also a very sure tackler over the course of his career, which I think he could be. He's a scheme diverse sort of fit, can play any sort of coverage you want.
Where are you at with the rest of this Utah defense, though? Do you think Jalen Johnson arm and leg better, or are there other guys on that Utah defense that you're getting excited about?
I think he's quite a bit better. I think you see Utah defense is going to live day 2. You're going to see probably like 5 guys come off the board.
Francis Bernard, Lecky Fotu, Terrell
Burgess, and Julian Blackman, all those guys likely day 2, maybe early day 3 sort of guys.
All right, hold me closer, Cameron Dantzler.
Bradley and A too. Jeez.
Yep, hold me closer, Cameron Dantzler, Mississippi State. His 2018 tape was fantastic, and in 2019 targeted a little bit, not at the same rate, but I think this year too, still very impressive in press coverage. I think that's where he kind of really stands out for me.
See, I just want to see him weigh in. Like that's all I really care about now. He made so many more plays in zone this year than he did last year at Mississippi State, where they were just playing a ton of press. 2018, this past year, far more diverse. Sort of coverage skill set, and he thrived in it still. He was still very good. One of the few cornerbacks we talked about who just didn't get torched by LSU. But to me, just need to see how much he weighs in at, because he looks legitimately like 6'2". He's listed at 185. He looks maybe more like 170. Like the dude doesn't have any muscle on him. But it hasn't mattered yet. Like it probably will matter once you get to the NFL. But I just need to see that he can put on weight.
Yeah, because being an impressive man core in 2018 against the guys he was going against are nowhere near the same size and athleticism as guys who will go against the NFL, and you can't just do it at 175 pounds. It's not that easy. Even though he's a 6'2", I think he's got a lot of tools that you like, but you'd like to see him weigh in a little bit heavier so you can get comfortable with him playing press man at the next level.
Yes.
All right, we're going to this next guy here from Auburn. This is a name that I will struggle to pronounce. It is Noah Igbenogany.
I'll just take your word for it.
I looked up the pronunciation. I could be butchering that right now. I apologize for that. But Auburn, 5'11", 199 pounds, graded better as a sophomore.
Yeah.
But still, though, I think there's reason to kind of get on board with this guy.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his. I thought in terms of being able to stick with wide receivers, he has all the athleticism, all the foot speed to be able to do it, kick inside, reduce the slot a lot for Auburn in that defense, and was very. It was one of the most impressive sort of when playing man coverage in the slot of any cornerback I've seen in this class so far. The kicker, though, extremely grabby. Like he had 4 penalties this past year, which was by the grace of God that he only had 4. Like there was divine intervention there on some refs flags that didn't get thrown this year, because he's just all over opposing wide receivers. I think he's a guy who another year would have really helped his draft stock. Like I don't think he's going to go. I feel pretty confident that he's not going to go first round. He might not even be, until like a 3rd, 4th round type of guy, whereas I think he has the athleticism and the traits to, if he had come back and really shown out next year at Auburn, I think he could have been in the first round sort of conversation with all the sort of tools he does have in his toolbox, but just inconsistent at this point.
And his production in 2018, 2019 kind of speak to that. A 74.7 PFF coverage grade in 2018, a 70.1 coverage grade this past year. And like you said, inconsistent. There are some games in here with below 62.0 coverage grades where he's allowing kind of bigger receptions and getting penalized, kind of like you said. Going to Amik Robertson, I apologize, Louisiana Tech, grades super well. He's 5'8", 183 pounds. 183 might be aggressive. That might be, maybe not what he weighs in at the combine. Yeah. But this is I hate saying it, but fun to watch. I mean, he gets his hand on the ball a ton. He gets his hand on the ball a ton, and I think aggressive guys in the group of 5 that are this small, maybe it's hard to find a role for him in the NFL. But I mean, come on, how do you not fall in love with him a little bit?
I love that he declared, because he knows he's not going first round. He knows he's probably not even going day 2. Like he knew it was just like a long shot, but he balled out this year. 17 pass breakups, 5 more picks. Like he is an in-your-face cornerback. Reminds me a lot of Jimmy Moreland last year, the James Madison cornerback, where he's going to get up and press. He's going to punch you in the mouth. He's going to do anything he can to make up for that size deficiency. And if he was 6 foot, 195 and ran a 4.4, he would be a top 10 sort of player. Like that's how his feel for the position is. But I just don't know where he can do with him, man. 5'9", 183, like he is tiny.
Yeah.
and plays mostly outside cornerback there for them at Louisiana Tech. So he's a nice day 3 guy. Take a flyer on, see if he can play slot for you.
This guy had some interest, though. When he was a recruit, 3-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports, 5'8", 165 pounds, but still had offers from LSU, Houston, Arizona. Ended up taking the offer with Louisiana Tech. He's from Louisiana. But like LSU being interested in him, who really covets at the cornerback position or defensive back, really, I think knowing that he's like somewhat of a good athlete despite his size. I mean, like a good athlete considering his size. I think there's going to be a team on day 3 that picks up him and really finds that he's kind of an interesting guy that you can.
Well, I think we saw Jimmy Moore. Like he goes 7th round, and then he was starting this year at the slot for the Redskins. So I think that could very well be what his future holds.
Man, there have been some disappointing years this year for us, but Darnay Holmes, I really did think he was going to take the next step at UCLA. He's a freaky athlete, great speed, great change of direction. I mean, there's a reason people are falling in love with this guy. I mean, Dane Brugler is putting his 40 projection at 4.36. I could see him running faster than that. He is a very, very good athlete, but inconsistent, grabby.
Yes.
Easop Winston Jr. of Washington State absolutely torched him on a handful of routes, and he got beat another time too. I think you should watch the Michael Pittman game, where I think there were some routes he won, some routes he lost. I think Darnay Holmes, inconsistent, but the athleticism, the traits are really going to draw people.
Yeah, he'll have routes where, I mean, even the last year, the Marquise Brown go route, there was a post corner that Laviska Shenault ran against him where didn't get a foot of separation throughout the entire route. Like, he'll have the times where you say, wow, you're like, how come he doesn't do this every single time? You know, that sort of thing. But he doesn't, and he's been inconsistent throughout the course of his career. 3 years of starting now at UCLA, and very up and down in those 3 years, but uncoachable sort of traits and ball skills. Like, he attacks the catch point the right way. Has some picks where you're just like, wow, that was, he could have played. Could he?
This is a guy that I think he's going to the Senior Bowl, and people are. I think there's a chance either people fall in love with him because he blows up the one-on-ones because he's that much more athletic, or he gets kind of beat down because he's a guy that loves to bite on a double move. He's a guy that likes to get too aggressive at times, and there are some receivers there that can. Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman will put it in.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman will put it in on Darnay Holmes a handful of times, but I think Darnay, if he can turn in a good Senior Bowl. Oh, sorry. I don't like that expression the more I said it.
Yeah.
Let's dive off the put it in. Let's dive into Trajan Bandy of Miami, another smaller corner that I think there are a handful of routes, like a slant or something in front of him where he plays the ball really nice and jumps on the ball. You're like, oh, wow. Very good stuff here, but smaller. Don't love what he can do on the top end from a speed standpoint, and that concerns me.
I don't. So yeah, he's 5'9", 187, and I don't think he has the change of direction ability to stay on the outside at least, or even
the top speed, really,
or even to be like, you better be quick laterally if you're a slot cornerback. That's like the main trait there, and I don't think he has that necessarily either. He got murdered on a double move by Diami Brown. Just hadn't stopped his feet and then couldn't get up to speed nearly quick enough on a stutter go there. And also not a good tackler at this point over in his career. 41.9 tackling grade because he missed 10 tackles on 38 attempts this year, which is a bad rate. He's been pretty poor in that regard over the course of his career. So if you're small, bad change of direction, and can't tackle,
what do you do?
It's not
what do you
help.
do
That's
when you can be a good college corner that's that small, but you also want to play in the NFL? I don't think you should be playing that position, really. I mean, it's tough. Like, it's just such a tough position to make it in the NFL when you're small. When you are that small, and then you factor in that he's not an elite athlete, not elite from the measurable standpoint. Man, that is tough. All right, we're going to Harrison Hand now. 6 foot, 192 pounds. He earned a 70.6 coverage grade for Temple this year. Transfer from Baylor.
Yeah.
Playing for Temple, you expected against Group of 5 competition. Maybe he takes a real big step. Not a ton of production for him this year. Stuff that you can't really fall in love with right now.
Yeah, he was just a guy. Yeah, he declared because Lord knows why, but I'd be surprised if. So there's a couple guys who would declare that I'd be surprised if they get drafted. He's probably one of them.
Really? That's where it's at. Did you check his jersey number? Is it single digit? That's kind of where we have
23.
Oh man, he's not even Temple Tough?
Yeah.
If he's not even Temple Tough, I can't get on board with this guy. Are you serious? All right. Well, let's just move on from him. Baylor transfer. Hard to be Temple Tough in a year though. Maybe next year if he did stay. Maybe
he knew he wasn't going to be Temple
you can't
Tough.
be a Baylor transfer come in. You're like, yeah, I'm Temple Tough. Like, dude, you're Baylor butt. Oh, sorry. Josiah Scott, Michigan State. We're got in here. 5'10", 172 pounds. Smaller guy. Dude. Again, when I see 172,
he just gets slapped around by like college wide receivers and like loses at the catch point all the time too. Like it already was showing up. It's only going to show up more. Very surprised he would come out.
Is this another guy where you're starting to think about day 3, maybe not even an option for him? Or?
Yeah, like he's late day 3, I'd say at this point. The production was all right, but it definitely wasn't to the degree where I'm going to make
overlook that he's 170 pounds dripping wet. Yeah, that's tough to overlook. Going to Florida State here, Stanford Samuels, bigger, not necessarily the 175 pound type, but still a thinner frame, 6'1", 188 pounds, 3-year starter. Not great production though. You're not falling in love with his coverage grades or his ball production. Where are you at with him?
So he gave up over 1,100 yards the last 2 seasons combined. So, like, he just hasn't gotten torched a lot. He's at his size, you would think he'd be a press sort of cornerback, but he was just so sloppy with his feet at the line of scrimmage. He just got a long way to go. I'm another one. I'm surprised he came out. He will probably be drafted, but this is a day 3 guy at best for us at this point.
Utah, back to Utah here. Javelin Guidry. Guidry? Yeah. 5'9", 193 pounds, played a ton of slot cornerback for them. I mean, I like Terrell Burgess in the slot for Utah more than I like this guy, though. Name scouting, though, Javelin is pretty dope.
He played slot, and the slot, like you think, has good as zone instincts, and he really didn't. He was a lot better when he was asked to just play man coverage. But again, a man corner at 5'9", 193 is a tough sell in the NFL. It's just not going to be. You're not going to be coveted that highly. And I really just did not care for him in zone coverage. The good news, if there is one, the silver lining about him in zone coverage is very solid tackler. Only 11 missed tackles, 126 career attempts. Like, he's been very good in that regard. But not a playmaker on the ball whatsoever so far at this point.
And with him, too, I mean, I immediately jumped to, when you turn on the tape at Utah, there's a guy that plays a ton of slot corner. It's Terrell Burgess. I think he mixes his snaps at box and slot corner. But when he plays slot corner, I think this is a guy that has good instincts. That puts hands on balls. And then I think that's interesting that he did declare. I think you got a lot of Utah defenders though leaving. It's hard to stick.
Got to hang with the boys.
Yeah, you got to hang with the boys there. James Pierre of FAU. I haven't watched a ton of this guy.
Another guy who I'd be surprised just if he got drafted.
Man. Like we're getting to the bottom of the barrel here.
He's a long cornerback, but not big, or not like he's skinny. He's only 185 pounds at 6'2", and I just don't know if he's going to test well at all athletically. Like, he might run the 4.6s at that point. You're not going to.
Can we end on a high note, please? I mean, we got to the bottom of the barrel. Now you're like losing your words here.
Safeties,
what's going on?
Some of these safeties, there's one safety I like in this that
all right,
we haven't talked about.
Let's get to it. Xavier Mckinney of Alabama. This guy has such a so there's an interception he has on his tape where he breaks on. I think he gets beat a little bit deep over the middle and then turns and ends up like falling into an interception. I don't remember who he was playing. I was watching all 22. It was good, but I think he special change of direction is what I saw from that.
Okay. No, yes, he did, and I think I actually remember the game you're talking about now. I think it was like a FCS school that they were playing.
Western Carolina or something like that.
It was, Western Carolina towards the end of the year. That was a really nice pick, and he does have good ball skills for a safety, kind of a do-it-all type of guy. He's been rising up my board this year with his play. I saw good, not special last year, but I think he's been far more consistent game in and game out in 2019, and only a true junior. Like, I probably was a little too harsh on him because he was only a true sophomore playing last year, but has gotten a lot better. Very solid tackler. That's going to help him in the Delpit versus McKinney conversation. If you're talking about top safeties, only 10 missed tackles on 96 attempts this past year compared to Grant Delpit. That's like playing a different football game altogether. So Xavier McKinney has a lot of fans. We're probably not going to be quite as high, but second round conversation easily at this point for us.
Geno Stone, a safety for Iowa, played a ton of free safety this past year, has earned high coverage grades pretty much all throughout his career. But that's what we see at Iowa, though. These Iowa defensive backs are very well coached, specifically in zone coverage, to where they grade really, really well for us. From time to time, Desmond King is one of the highest graded defensive backs we've seen in the college era, and him playing for Iowa. Geno Stone as well. They have another guy that's going to the Senior Bowl, Michael Ojemudia, or one of those. I think there are some plays on his tape where you're like, wow, this guy's special, and he grades well. Geno Stone, where are you, though, with him, the free safety?
I like Stone a lot more than Ojemudia with the
Michael O.
Michael O. I like him a lot more. Geno Stone, I thought, never really had any reps where I'm like, damn, that was like incredible. Let me watch more. Kind of like when I was watching Darnell Savage last year, you saw like one play and you'd be like, holy shit, I need to see more of this guy. Geno Stone, I didn't have that many of them, but the more I'm like going through his tape, I'm like, oh wow, like that's like he's consistently making quality plays. Consistently, like, getting to where he needs to be quicker than I would have expected him to get there, making, just really nice football plays and never really getting torched, never really being out of place on the back end. So I'm a big fan of his. The more I watched him, moving up our safety board, doesn't have, absurd sort of statistical profile by any means, but the grading wise, 85.2 coverage grade as a freshman. Now, we didn't only play 45 coverage snaps, but 89.8 last year, 2018, 84.5 this past season. That's a very good breadth. It's a very good sample size, as we like to say.
Notre Dame, Alohi Gilman, the safety there, he's playing in the box the next level. Doesn't necessarily have the top
probably.
Speed where you think. So the Harrison Smith comp's easy, but the Harrison Smith comp, I've seen it.
It's lazy.
It's lazy,
it's
I
lazy.
guess. Easy was maybe too generous. Lazy, but this guy is not playing the Harrison Smith role, the split safety top over the top role in the next level. He's going into the box.
I think he's a box safety much more likely at the next level than anything else. And if you're going to use him as a deep safety, you might be in for surprise. It's not going to be great.
Yeah.
So he's gotten torched at times in that Notre Dame defense when he has to go backwards, but anything in front of him, he has been exceptional over the course of his career. A fairly solid tackler, much better 2018 season than this past year, but I think you're just getting a solid, he's probably going to be like a fourth rounder at this point, fourth round type of safety that is probably going to be your nickel dimebacker sort of guy.
Mm-hmm. All right, going to Cameron Curl of Arkansas. Graded really well this year. Over a 90.0 PFF coverage grade. And he did that playing a ton of different positions. He played in the box for 185 snaps, 293 at slot corner, 195 at free safety. That do-it-all type, not in the same tier as Xavier McKinney. But when you see that snap position profile where you can see a guy that can have that level of production, 90-plus coverage grade at different positions, that's good.
See, I love his instincts and to me, he's just a football player, but he athletically just seems so limited. Like, he's just not going to. There are plays that he just left on the football field because he doesn't have the explosiveness, doesn't have the straight line speed to go ahead and make it. Might run in the 4.6s at safety position, which just not the way the game's going on the back end. You need some speed back there. So I'm a fan of his. Like, watching his tape, you want him to succeed because I think he does a lot of football things really well, but I worry about how he's going to test. I just worry about that translating.
All right, that's going to do it for cornerbacks and safeties on this underclassmen defense preview. A ton of good guys in there, some guys that maybe should have returned to school. But the guys at the top, again, was Chase Young, Jeffrey Okuda. I think there's reason to fall in love with Cameron Dantzler, Jaylen Johnson, too, the two cornerbacks, even C.J. Henderson. I think
it's a nice cornerback.
I think we put him down a little bit for the personality, limited from a trash-talking standpoint. But the dude's still a rare athlete that can play man coverage at the next level and probably have a ton of success.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.